Police say they're doing all they can to arrest those responsible for the murder of Mozambican national in Alexandra yesterday. The attack on Emmanuel Sithole was caught on camera by Sunday Times photographer. A warning that the story contains graphic images, but we bring it to you in the public interest in the hope that broadcasting it will lead to arrests. Sithole was allegedly killed by a group of men who armed themselves with a wrench and knives. According to the report, they stalked Sithole, cornered him, stabbed him and left him for dead. He was rushed to hospital but died on arrival. A team of officers has been dispatched to track down the suspects. James Oatway is the Sunday Times senior photographer who took those pictures. He joins us now. James, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, Emmanuel Sithole was stabbed in the heart. Give us some background to this horrific story. I mean, how did you come across the scene?
Okay, well, myself and my colleague Beauregard Tromp had been covering the story for most of the week. And we decided to get a very early start on Saturday morning because we heard that there was looting going on Friday evening in different areas. So we decided to go to Alex because we'd heard that it had been quite bad there, and this was the first time that we'd had reports of violence in Alex. So we reached Alex around 7 a.m. and at just about 7:30, we decided to go and speak to some of the shop owners whose shops had been looted. There were quite a few shops that we noticed had been looted. It was pretty calm. There was no sign of any angry mobs or anything like that. People were going about their daily business and on their way to work or shopping, wherever. And I'd just come out of one of the shops that had been looted, and I was trying to take some photographs of the general the debris and the rubbish that had been thrown in the road by the looters. There were some children playing. It was very calm. And then I just heard some screams, and I turned around and in the direction where the screams were coming from, and I saw a group of men running towards me. And I ran towards where the activity was coming from. And at that point, a man had actually brought Emmanuel down to the ground and started hitting him with a monkey wrench. So I immediately started taking photographs, and I moved closer. There were some other members of the group that had noticed me and started trying to call their friends who were actually assaulting Emmanuel. The guy with the wrench ran away, but then he was replaced by another man with a knife, which is what you can see in the photograph. They scuffled for a bit. They ended up on the floor. The man with the wrench came back and he started hitting Emmanuel again with a wrench. Another couple of men came in as well. And then once again they were deterred by their friend. I think my presence with the camera actually distracted them a bit. They didn't expect to see me there. And then another man came running in and kicked Emmanuel, and he had a much bigger knife as well. I'm not really sure whether he landed his knife into Emmanuel or not, but he also then ran away. At that point, Emmanuel was just sitting there like dazed, looking at me, and I screamed to Emmanuel to run away. And he managed to get up by himself. He looked at me quite confused, and then he walked away.
Now, clearly this raises some questions about it raises ethnical questions. Did you at some point think twice about taking the photos?
No, I didn't. My job is to record what happens. My job is to bring these events to the attention of our readers and to the population at general. This is what I do. I photograph events. That was my purpose for being there, was to photograph activities. I did what I was there to do.
We see your photos and they show a lot of intensity on the faces of those men. Did you at some stage want to intervene?
Well, the whole attack, from the time that the man with the monkey wrench started landing his blows until they ran away, was not more than 2 minutes. I didn't really have time to think about what to do or not. I just knew that the only thing I could do was be there with my camera. I got as close as possible to them. I was a bit concerned that they would turn on me. Luckily, they didn't. But you know, all I could do really was photograph it.
And looking back, do you think you made the right call, though?
Yeah, there was no other call for me to make. That's my job. I'm a photojournalist.
And what went through your mind while you were taking those photos? I mean, you say it happened quite fast, but
well, yeah. I mean, the attack happened so suddenly. I was shocked. You know, I didn't expect to see it because the situation was pretty calm. You know, I was shocked and afraid. I suppose that was what was going through my mind. You know, when we finally reached Emmanuel after he collapsed, and we loaded him into the car and took him to hospital, I was just really upset that we couldn't really get him in time for them to actually save his life. So that for me is the only real regret that I have.
And I mean, this must be taking its toll on you emotionally and psychologically. How are you dealing with it?
Well, yeah, I'm very upset. I'm shocked, and I'm very angry towards the men that did this. And you know, I'm disgusted in my fellow South Africans that are, you know, carrying out these attacks. I think it's disgusting. I feel sorry for Emmanuel. I feel sorry for his family, and I feel apologetic towards him, his family, and you know, any foreign national that's been affected by these.
You took the photos, and we've all seen them, and we know what the men look like. Are you surprised at all that they haven't been brought to book, the suspects, that is?
Yes, I am. I really hope that they are caught, because those guys don't belong out on our streets. I hope that the photographs can actually lead to their arrest and them being taken off the streets.
Let's go back slightly to the actual scene of or where it happened. You mentioned that, you know, it happened really fast, and were there people around you observing? Was there no shouting? Could no one just step in and stop it?
No, look, I mean, there was a lot of people around. There were, you know, it's quite a busy street, and as I mentioned, there were children playing in the road. There were people standing around. I don't think anyone could have stopped, you know, this attack unless they had some serious weaponry or, you know, like a big force. Maybe the police could have stopped, but unfortunately there were no police in the area.